All right, let's do it. You're in the jungle. I am Matt Edwards. Thank you for tuning in. It is go time, baby. It is Thursday. The defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Dallas Cowboys tonight. Then from there, we roll. We got a Friday night game. We got Saturday college football. Then Sunday and Monday, we've got NFL as well. Nice to see the Cowboys get some national TV time tonight. Don't get to look at them very often, so that'll be good. We're going to talk Bengals today. We're going to talk the Cincinnati Bengals. They play Cleveland on Sunday, 1 p.m. on Fox. A little bit different. Maybe that'll be the push the Bengals need to change things on week one. But really today, we're going to talk about a few things. There's something I'm hearing from a few national outlets that I kind of want to address. And I'm not Mr. National doesn't know what they're talking. No, I mean, there's a lot of very talented people out there. It's hard to keep track of everyone, but there's one kind of narrative that I want to talk about a little bit because I don't know kind of how. We'll get to it. We'll get to it down the stretch. I will also tell you one concern I have about Trey Hendrickson as he heads into what may be his final year as a Cincinnati Bengal. It's not so much a concern, just a possibility that wouldn't be great that kind of ties into everything that's gone on with him this offseason. So we'll get to that here shortly. But today I wanted to look at 5 guys, right? I wanted to look at the 5 most overlooked Cincinnati Bengals as we head into 2025. And arguably, you could maybe say 5 most important if you're going on the assumption, and I think it's a fair assumption, that Joe Burrow is going to be who we expect him to be. That Trey Hendrickson, Jamar Chase, the elite players on this team, those guys, T. Higgins, Orlando Brown, Ted Karras, even established guys who maybe aren't elite, Mike Gesicki, T. Higgins, we know what these guys are going to be, right? What I want to talk about today are the guys who could make or break, could be the difference in a wild card or winning the division, could be the difference in missing the playoffs or getting a wild card. There's just a few guys I really feel like if they can just take that to the next level, then the Bengals will be in good shape. There's 5 of them. There's probably more than that. This is a debatable list, of course, but let's get into it. Number 1, I talk about this guy all the time. He was a massive headache for a lot of the year last year, but he turned it around down the stretch, and it felt really good. And I'm not selling my stock on him yet. Cam Taylor-Britt, he's the Bengals' best cornerback. He had an incredible interception last year against Patrick Mahomes, and then was pretty bad for a couple months. Started to get some of that confidence back going down the stretch. I still think that's mentally is where he just didn't work out last year, because we just seen the sample size was not small of Cam Taylor-Britt looking like a true number 1 corner in the NFL. He started poorly. He finished strong. I'm wondering, Al Golden, with Notre Dame, played a lot of man coverage, traditionally has. Is he going to give Cam Taylor-Britt the opportunity to get that confidence back? I mean, there's no off days anymore when it comes to NFL wide receivers. There's so many good ones. So number 1 on my list, and that's number 1 overall. To me, the most important guy who I wouldn't consider an established guy, and by established, I mean we know what they are. We know what Joe Burrow is. We know what Jamar is. We know who those guys are. I'm talking about guys who the jury's still out on what they're going to be. Number 1 for me, who I want to see trend in the right direction, would be Cam Taylor-Britt. You've got to have someone in the secondary you can count on week in and week out, and to me, he's the number 1 candidate. I thought last year, if you listen to this podcast, I thought he would ascend into number 1 cornerback territory, and didn't happen. So I think he might be able to make that happen this year, and we'll find out. Number 2 is Myles Murphy, former first-round pick. This is why Al Golden and his staff are here, right? To develop the young talent the Bengals have. They got to figure some of these guys out. I mean, look, man, Myles Murphy, they need something else on that defensive line. They need all they can get on that defensive line. It's pretty much Trey Hendrickson, and then you're just hoping the rest of the team shows up. B.J. Hill, really solid. We really like him. He's worthy of being a starter, but he's not going to wreck a game for you. Myles Murphy, you got to figure something out, man. Year 3, 28th overall pick. This is why Al Golden's here, to take some of these guys who they've drafted, high, day 1, day 2, and they haven't worked out. So he's heading into year 3. He's got 3 sacks in 2 seasons. Just not good enough. And if he gets going, I mean, Shamar Stewart really plays into this as well, because if Myles Murphy gets going, Shamar Stewart, they can kind of use him more in a situational and let him roam around. I mean, he's so athletic. What can you do with him? If he doesn't get going, Shamar Stewart, and maybe from day one, he's the starter over there opposite of Trey Hendrickson. So Myles Murphy, overlooked. I mean, Cam Taylor-Britt, I kind of say is overlooked in the way that I personally am really counting on him, and I think that he's a guy who will make a difference. Myles Murphy is more overlooked. Like, he's kind of a sink or swim candidate, right? He could really do a lot of damage and free up Trey Hendrickson and free up Shamar Stewart, or he could be a liability and really not see the field toward the end of the season if he can't get it going. Number 3, we're staying on defense. Last defensive guy is TJ Slayton. Signed him from Green Bay. Really solid, seemingly, interior defensive lineman. You could just see last year how much the Bengals missed DJ Reader in the middle. They just need a consistent presence there. They just need someone who they know what they're going to get out of him on Sundays. I mean, DJ Reader went to Detroit last year. He anchored the defense for so long. Sheldon Rankins came in. He had a case of, was it laryngitis? He had like swelling of the brain, it turned out. And even before that, he wasn't playing well. But I really think that was an underrated storyline. Everyone talked about how bad the defense was in general. I think losing DJ Reader and then having Sheldon Rankins come in and just really amount to not being able to do anything, that was rough. And they had just a revolving door of guys trying to come in at defensive tackle. So that's my third guy there, TJ Slayton. He's a guy who, not a big splashy signing. I don't expect him to be an all-pro or a Pro Bowler. Just be consistent. Just show up and don't get spun around every 3 plays on Sundays. That's all we need. Number 4, this is, one that kind of concerningly I'm sure someone, Evan McPherson, not really talking about it. We all know he wasn't great last year. He wasn't terrible. He was 6 of 12 from 40 yards, though. Not what we've come to expect from Money Mac. There was a 53-yarder in overtime in Baltimore. Would have won that game. Could have been the difference in them making the playoffs. He didn't hit it. I blame Zach Taylor more for that gain. I think they should have tried to get closer than 53 yards. And look, maybe it's a snap and hold operation. I don't know. But Will Wagner's going to take over at long snapper this year. We will find out what's going on there. But Evan McPherson's got to be better this year. Got to hit some of those. 6 of 12 from 40 yards, just unbelievable from him considering what we've seen. So you got to think, I've read that he's worked on some different mechanics, the operation getting better. I heard Charlie Goldsmith, who I really like listening to, say that, Ryan Rico as the holder was working on, I want to say his lace mechanics, the laces of the football. What did he call that? Lace technique? I don't know. Lace discipline, something with the laces of the football. So they're all working on it. But at the end of the day, Evan McPherson's the one kicking the football. He has got to just be a little bit better. We know how important he's been to this team in the past. He's going to have to do that again because, like it or not, the Bengals defense, they should be better, but they're not going to be good. So there's going to be some close games. So Evan McPherson, very important. Dylan Fairchild's my last guy, 3rd-round rookie out of Georgia. Going to see some time playing guard. And look, if you can get him to be really solid and be a good starter at that guard spot, then you have 4 out of your 5 offensive linemen I think you feel really good about. Along with your bookend tackles, Amarius Mims going into year 2, Orlando Brown on the left side, Ted Karras at center, you feel good about. Right side, is it going to be Dalton Reisner, Cody Ford, Lucas Patrick? I don't know. But 4 out of 5 offensive linemen, pretty good for the Bengals, really pretty good for the league. Not a lot of guys, not a lot of teams, I should say, can look at 80% of their offensive line and feel good. The Bengals could do that. So that's where we're at. 3 on defense. Cam Taylor-Britt, Myles Murphy, TJ Slayton. You feel good about them. You don't feel good about them. You want to feel good about them. They could be a big difference in what this team does and whether or not they go 9-8 again or if they can go 12-5, 11-6. And then Evan McPherson, man, just got to be a little better. Got to put the Bengals in better position. Again, I'm not putting it all on him. It seems like that operation is not as smooth as it should be, but these are guys that I just think should be talked about a little more, I guess with the exception of Dylan Fairchild, who has been getting about as much pub as a rookie 3rd-rounder could. So yeah, those are the 5 guys that maybe from a national perspective are a little overlooked. Everyone wants to talk this and that. Those are the 5 guys I think could be quite, as I choke to death, quite the difference in 2025. So I find this out because I've been consuming like so many preseason shows, which is awesome. Growing up, like you got a Sports Illustrated, you got to see your team preview. My dad got Bengals Weekly in the mail. You could read a little bit of that. But now you got like unlimited preview stuff. So I'm consuming a lot of this stuff. And I've heard one argument time and time again. And I heard Nick Wright say this to Mina Kimes. Really like Nick Wright, really like Mina Kimes. Both super smart people I enjoy listening to. But Nick Wright basically says, why should he believe the Bengals will be any different than the 9-8 team they were a season ago? And that's a fair argument. I get that. But I also think there's a pretty good counter argument. And it's really not like that difficult to figure out. So I'm just going to give you 3 quick reasons. Because really, if the Bengals could just be better in a few spots, that's kind of all it would take. The first one is that the slow starts are over. I'm convinced of that. They started 0-3 last year. If you go back and look at New England week 1, Joe Burrow looked like he was still thawing out. He had a full offseason. He's not nursing that wrist anymore. He just looks so mechanical and so robotic in week 1. That's not going to be an issue this year. He's not coming off an injury. He had a full offseason, like for the first time ever, really, in his NFL career. The slow starts are done, right? Last year, you had the fluky game against New England. You lose to Kansas City on a last-second field goal, and then Jaden Daniels has his coming-out party. 0-3, boom. Tough season ahead. That's not going to happen again. I feel very confident about that. The second thing is just the continuity. I talked about this a second ago. That continuity on the defensive line. Like DJ Reader and Sheldon Rankins, that swap last year could not have gone any worse. In the AFC North, being strong on the defensive line, pretty important. Like Chris Jenkins, another year under his belt. He's going to be kind of a role player in there. TJ Slayton and BJ Hill are going to be your starters. You at least know what you're getting there. Right? You're not rotating someone at defensive tackle next to BJ Hill every week. So that's going to be just the continuity there is going to be so important for this team because pretty much out of the gate, it was like, okay, Sheldon Rankins is really bad. And then, okay, Sheldon Rankins isn't playing anymore. And then, of course, the wild card is Shamar Stewart. Like, what can the rookie out of Texas A&M do? He's popped in the preseason. If he can kind of progress and make a difference on that defensive line, I mean, that's a big boost for this team, just to get the same guys out there week after week. And you've got Myles Murphy, and if he can't get the job done, Shamar Stewart's right there ready to take over, and he might be the starter in week 1. We don't really know that yet. And by the way, the NFL's reigning sack leader is on that defensive line. He's in a contract year. I think he's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And the final thing I'll say on the defensive line and the defense in general, it can't get much worse. Like, the Bengals almost made the playoffs with a really bad defense. They just need a few pieces to be a little bit better, and right there they are. And then the third and final thing is the Bengals just have to catch a break at some point. I know this is maybe like that line alone feels like a lazy take and a lazy thought, but it's true. The 3 games they lost to Kansas City and Baltimore came by a combined 5 points. Last-second field goals in 2 of the 3. Controversial calls in 2 of the 3, including Joe Burrow nearly getting his head taken off in a 2-point conversion try, and the refs just looking at it and saying, happens. All 3 were controversial. That's not going to happen again. I'm a believer in balance. I'm a believer in karma. At some point, you catch breaks. It happens. I know it doesn't feel like the most, genius point anyone can make, but it's true. You catch breaks. The Bengals got none last year. Real man makes his own luck, according to Dwight Schrute, though, so we'll see. Those alone could be the difference, though, in 9-8 and 11-6. I have the Bengals finishing 11-6 this year. There you go. That's why the Bengals should be different in 2025 than they were in 2024. So the last thing I teased at the top of the show that we'll get into here, pretty quick episode. Trey Hendrickson in a contract here. I just kind of said, I'm kind of countering my own point here because I don't believe this point I'm about to say, but it is something that crossed my mind and something that I can't fully rule out. So Trey Hendrickson now goes into a contract year. He'll make $30 million this year, and he'll make $30 million this year. You would think he's going to go out there and play hard, and he will because he wants to. It's clear he wants to get one more big contract, as he should. But the flip side of that is like, what if in December, we've seen Trey Hendrickson so many times get a little banged up and kind of have to jog off the field. What if in December, Trey Hendrickson, third to last game of the season, he's sitting on 14.5 sacks. He's shown the rest of the league he's worth a big payday. What if in one of those games it's tied and he decides, you know what? I've already proved what I had to prove. I don't know that I'm going to go in for this final drive. He's never going to admit that, but we've seen him play through pain in the past. What's to say that this thing turns around? He's got 15 sacks in week 17. He limps off the field. Maybe he doesn't want to come back on. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think he's that type of guy. I don't think he can turn it off. I don't think he could stay away from training camp this year. What I do think is that if you're him and you turn, 31 this year and you want one more big payday, you're going to think twice before coming back in as he has in the past, as he have that's made him such a beloved figure to Bengals fans. So just something to ponder, not saying he'll do it. Don't think he would. I don't know that he can. I think he loves rushing the passer and loves football so much, and he's such a competitor, he wouldn't do that. But I've heard so much of, you get Trey in a contract here. That's true, and that's great. But if down the stretch he's already sitting on double-digit sacks, if you were him, what would you do? Would you risk injuring that shoulder or that leg a little bit further? Or would you say, you know what? I already talked to my agent last week. He already thinks I'll get $30 million a year next year. I don't know that playing on this 40% knee to try to get a win is worth it. Just something to ponder. I don't think he'll do it, but just a thought that came to mind as everyone else has the thought of playing in a contract year, going to go hard. He will go hard. No doubt about that. But there could be a time when that could work against the Bengals as well. Okay. You are in the jungle. I'm Matt Edwards. I appreciate you tuning in. I will have another episode out, I think, tomorrow. This is the plan. My wife is due to give birth any day now, so that will take precedent over the podcast. Life happens. So looking forward to everything. Exciting times for me, right? So appreciate everyone tuning in. We will do it again soon. Let me know in the comments what you think. Anyone I missed on that 5 list as well. It was not really an easy list to put together. Curious what people think, though. Appreciate your comments, concerns, and questions as always. I'm Matt Edwards. You can find me at Matt Edwards on Twitter. And I'll probably be back on there regularly now that it is football season. Thanks for stopping by. We'll do it again real soon.